Hello and welcome to News9 show The South Indian. My name is Sudha Sadanan. As usual, I shall bring to you 9 top stories from the south of India. Let me now begin with the first one. This is a very big one. As controversy surrounding NEET, before that we shall tell you that a very big news is of course breaking, and this is about former Chief Minister of Karnataka, and that is being BS Yediyurappa. In a big news coming in from Karnataka, a non-bailable warrant has now been issued against former Chief Minister BS Yediyurappa in a POCSO case. A case under the POCSO Act was registered against Yediyurappa at the Sadashivanagar police station on 14th of March by the mother of the minor victim. Yediyurappa has been accused of harassing a 17-year-old girl when she and her mother had apparently visited him seeking help regarding some issues. The case was later handed over to the CID, but when there was no progress made in the investigation for about 3 long months, the victim's mother approached the High Court with a writ petition. The CID had then issued a notice to BS Yediyurappa to present himself for questioning on 12th of June, but the former Chief Minister had written to the CID that he will appear for questioning instead on 17th of June, citing prior travel plans. Meanwhile, his application seeking anticipatory bail is likely to be heard by a court on 14th of June. Big news coming from Karnataka, and this is about former Chief Minister of Karnataka BS Yediyurappa. A non-bailable warrant has now been issued against former Chief Minister Yediyurappa in a POCSO case. This has been brewing for a very long time. A case under the POCSO Act was registered against the former Chief Minister of Karnataka and the father of the President of the State BJP unit, BS Yediyurappa, at the Sadashivanagar police station on 14th of March by the mother of the minor victim, who I think passed away recently. Yediyurappa has been accused of harassing a 17-year-old girl when apparently she, accompanied by her mother, had visited the former Chief Minister BS Yediyurappa seeking help regarding some issues. The case was handed over to the CID, but when there was little or no progress made in the investigation for about 3 long months, the victim's mother approached the High Court with a writ petition. The CID had issued a notice to Yediyurappa to present himself for questioning on 12th of June, but the former Chief Minister had written to the CID that he shall be unable to appear for questioning on the said date, but instead will come on the 17th of June because he had some prior travel plans. Meanwhile, he's also sought an anticipatory bail, and the hearing of which is supposed to come up on the 14th of June. Let me now go across to my colleague Mohammad Wajiullah to speak more on this. Waji, a case which has been brewing for a very long time. This is a shocking development. I mean, decode this for our viewers, Wajiullah.
Well, yes, it is completely shocking because the person in question is none other than the former Chief Minister of Karnataka, BS Yediyurappa, and this case was filed after a meeting that happened of Yediyurappa with this particular victim on the 2nd of February this year itself. And after that meeting, the mother a few days later came out and filed a complaint at the Sadashivanagar police station saying that she was sexually assaulted. Her daughter, 17-year-old daughter, was sexually assaulted by Yediyurappa when Yediyurappa had called her inside the room to ask her about her problem. And that is when this particular incident happened, is what the mother had alleged in the FIR. Now, a few days back, in the month of April, the mother had passed away due to an illness. And since then, there was no investigation that took place in this particular case, and there was no headway. As we know that this case was then transferred by the DGP to the CID the immediate next day when the FIR was filed, because Yediyurappa was involved in this. Now what has happened is that today Yediyurappa had approached the court for a non-bailable, for an anticipatory bail in this matter. And a day before, yesterday, the brother of the victim was also went to the police to find out what has happened in this particular case and wanted answers with regards to the justice that he wanted for his daughter. Today, the court has issued a non-bailable warrant against Yediyurappa on the plea of the SSP Ashok, saying that Yediyurappa has been evasive. He has not come forward for summons which has been given to him, and that is why a non-bailable warrant should be issued, because there are news that he's already been trying to speak to the victims and influence them, and there was also an allegation that close to 2 lakh rupees have been given to somebody to see if this matter can be settled as fast as possible. And the anticipatory bail that Yediyurappa had also filed today was on the basis that this particular case does not have any merit, and the allegations leveled by the mother do not stand, because she is known for filing such fake or false cases against popular people, and that is why the court should squash this case, is what the plea of Yediyurappa was. Now that anticipatory bail matter will be heard tomorrow, is what we've been told as of now.
You know, Wajiullah, you said that, it also came up that he refused to be present for the summons. Now, Wajiullah, as I understand it, and you, of course, are the best to decode it, apparently he was supposed to appear on the 12th. He said he will appear later or some such, because he had prior travel plans. So do you think somewhere the authorities who were investigating the case found that this man is kind of dithering and waffling and trying to just kind of postpone the appearance, as it were?
Well, it's a general understanding that in a case like POCSO, the person is immediately arrested because the case itself is very sensitive. But in the matter of Yediyurappa, things didn't turn out like that. And the summons that was issued to him, that he is not even returned for that, is what the SSP said. But yes, it's not that Yediyurappa has not come for past summons. He also joined the investigation. His voice samples were also taken to verify whether the video that the mother had given to the police, does that video go inside with the audio of Yediyurappa or not. But if we see things legally, well then Yediyurappa or any other person in this particular case, or in any case, has the right for his lawyers to approach the court and see if things are heard beforehand itself. Because we've seen in previous cases where Rahul Gandhi was also summoned, it took 3 summons from the court for him to land up at the court. So it now, but in POSCO cases, it's generally not that you're immediately asked to be present in front of the police and you're arrested in case if you are evasive. But in this particular matter, Yediyurappa being the former chief minister, I suppose things did not go as per the way it was planned, or the police was still not able to corroborate more pieces of evidence to see if they could actually pin this allegation that was leveled against Yediyurappa. Now we'll have to wait and watch how this non-bailable warrant will act, because we still have no idea about the whereabouts of Yediyurappa. Some people say he's in Delhi, some say he's still in Shimoga, but wherever he is, from what I've learned, is that Bangalore police will go and arrest him then and there itself.
Vaji, I want to ask you that, this news broke, and of course you're the first one to break it. But has there been any kind of an indication amongst the BJP? Because the BJP is already facing a lot of divide and rule, if I may add. There are guns targeting this father-son duo of Yediyurappa and Vijendra. So what kind of, what are you picking on the ground? Is it going to become a big issue even as we approach, the evening and late night?
As of now, we've not got anything concrete from the BJP. We've been speaking to a few workers and politicians who off record gone on to say that we clearly understand this is a very politically motivated case. They are trying to pin a very senior leader into something that she has not done, and you will also have to see the age of Yediyurappa and see the respect that he has in the society. Right. So these are the few things that I'm listening off record from the BJP leaders, but on record, I haven't come across anybody who's gone on to say anything with this case particularly, Sudha.
All right. Okay. On that note, thank you very much, Mohammed Wajiullah, for joining us on the broadcast. And our next top story in the South Indian, even as controversies surrounding NEET 2024 exam intensifies, let's explore why and how Tamil Nadu was the first state to reject NEET and say no to NEET.
Helps beat sensitivity fast. Sensodyne Rapid Relief.
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार विमल बोलो जुबान केसरी.
How do you fulfill that promise? Because ultimately expectations have to be met. If you look at the political landscape, is it really changing for women? And what is the inability of the forces that dead bodies surface but not the living people?
There are beautiful golf courses, there are well-played golf courses, there are great greens. But I think we are a combination of everything.
Now, because of the nature-friendly atmosphere here, plenty of water, you can hear the birds. So lots and lots of birds live on this golf course.
Every corner you have a different vista. You have the beautiful Sayadri range behind you and it's just endless. It keeps going on and on and on and on. So I think no matter what floor you are, you're always slapped in the face by this most amazing view that takes your breath away for a second.
This and more. Streaming on News9 Plus. Subscribe and get free vouchers.
For the very first time in our investigation, we unmasked the killer of Ravindra Matre.
In 5G, we have to stand with the world, and in 6G, we have to lead the world.
Winning a Grammy was an absolutely surreal experience.
Helps beat sensitivity fast. Sensodyne Rapid Relief.
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार विमल बोलो जुबान केसरी.
All right, our focus is on NEET. But look at this. Tamil Nadu was the first to reject NEET, and that's what we are focusing on. Of course, that's only part of the story. The whole story is the kind of controversy NEET has created across the nation. Now, if there is one state which has been opposed to NEET, then it is certainly Tamil Nadu. Subsequent government, I'm not going to give credit to just one. I said subsequent governments in the state have called for abolishing NEET for several reasons, and mainly because of what they say is an unequal playing field, the pushing back of bright but marginalized students, the coaching institute mafia which rips the poor. Now, the Stalin-led DMK government constituted the A.K. Rajan committee, which gave several recommendations on NEET. On your screens right now and very, very relevant today. Take immediate steps to eliminate NEET as qualifying criteria for admission to medical programs. Make higher secondary exam score sole criteria for admission to medical programs. Identify socio-economic and demographic adversities affecting performance of students. Normalization of scores to ensure equality in opportunity to students from different educational boards. Reform school education to foster learning as opposed to coaching. Ring so many bells, right? Some do not, but some do. And today, Health Minister of Tamil Nadu, Ma Subramanian, held a press conference in which he highlighted the drawbacks of NEET yet again and reiterated what the government has been saying for long on the issue. Listen in.
NEET தேர்வு வந்த நாளிலிருந்து நீட்டுக்கு விலக்கு அளிக்க வேண்டும் என்கின்ற கோரிக்கை தமிழக அரசின் சார்பில் தொடர்ந்து விடுக்கப்பட்டது. அதோடு மட்டுமல்லாது நீட் தேர்விலிருந்து விலக்கு பெறுவதற்கு
The NEET mess has now spread across the country like a bushfire, and in the latest, the centre has informed the Supreme Court that the 1563 mark sheets in which grace marks were given will be cancelled, and those students will be provided an option to give a retest. The retest has been rescheduled for 23rd of June, the results of which shall be declared on the 30th of June. However, no stay has been declared on counselling as it is to start commencing on 6th of July, thus remaining totally unaffected by the retest. Meanwhile, the demand for investigation into the paper leak will be heard on 8th of July. A total of 4 petitions are related to which notice has been issued.
I have with me the advocate who represented one of the petitioners, and sir, the entire issue was on grace marks. Tell us what happened in court today.
See, the entire issue was not of grace marks. There are various other issues which we have raised. However, today the Honorable Court considered the issue of grace marks only. For rest of the issues, the court has said that matters are still pending, and all those matters will come up for hearing on 8th of July.
Okay, so exactly what
Sir,
transpired in court today?
There were 3 petitions listed today. So 2 were pertaining to grace marks only, and our petition is pertaining to other aspects of the matter. The first aspect is that our petitioner, Mr. Abdullah, he has filed this petition on behalf of SIU, where we have raised various aspects like, first of all, when you have closed the registration, why it was reopened almost after a month for 2 days. The second aspect is of paper leak. The third is regarding grant of grace marks. And the fourth, which is coming up now, is various students, they have downloaded their these results and their roll numbers are different. So we are getting complaints regarding that as well. That also we will bring to the notice of this Honorable Court on 8th of July.
Right.
So our issues are still alive, and all those issues will be heard on 8th of July.
Yes, but there is a re-examination that is happening for all the candidates who got these grace marks. Over 1,000.
So we will consider it as a small win for us, because at least they admitted their mistake and they have stated that yes, we are going to conduct the re-examination of these students on 23rd of June, and results will be declared on 30th of June.
So do you see this, like you said, this is a small win. So, this seems to be like a more humanizing way. There are students who worked so hard that
Yes.
are being, is all of that being taken into account?
If we show you our mobile, the messages we are getting every day, and those are forwarded to us, the students, they are not happy with the way the examination has been conducted. And we have full faith in the judiciary. Then on 8th of July, all these issues will be considered, and the Honorable Supreme Court may pass orders in our favor.
Right. Thank you so much, sir. So you saw this was Mr. Shwetank, who represented one of the petitioners whose petition was heard. This is a union. This is a students' union organization, and like you heard him, this is like a small win, really. So it looks optimistic for the students going ahead.
Now, in the latest, Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan has also reacted on the matter today. Listen into what he said.
आपको स्पष्ट करूं, देयर इज नो करप्शन। ये जो एक वातावरण बनाई जा रही है कि बहुत बड़ा एनामोली हुई है, नीट के संबंध में पिछले दिनों में नीट में आपकी जानकारी के लिए बताऊं, 24 लाख स्टूडेंट्स अपीयर करते हैं। अभी जो मसला जो सुप्रीम कोर्ट के सामने आज भी चल रहा है, सरकार ने अपना पक्ष रखा है उसमें, ये लगभग 1550 स्टूडेंट की है और एक ग्रेटर क्वेश्चंस कुछ उठाए गए हैं। सरकार उसकी सामना करने के लिए, उसको संतुष्टि के साथ बच्चों को उत्तर देने के लिए बहुत प्रामाणिकता के साथ खड़ा है। स्पेसिफिक घटना जो आए हैं उसको सरकार गंभीरता से लिया है। एकेडमिशियंस की कमेटी बनी है, उन्होंने कुछ रिकमेंडेशन किया है, उस हिसाब से सरकार आज कोर्ट के सामने उस पक्ष को रखेगा। और बाकी जो नीडफुल, सुप्रीम कोर्ट के आदेश से ही कुछ साल पहले से एनटीए की गठन हुई है। पिछले दिनों में आज एनटीए लगभग 3 बड़े एग्जामिनेशन कराते, सक्सेसफुली कराते हैं, नीट, जेई और सीयूईटी। इतने बड़े देश में जब 13 लैंग्वेज में एग्जामिनेशन होगा, विश्व की कई देशों में एग्जामिनेशन सेंटर होगी, कई प्रकार की स्टूडेंट्स उसमें पार्टिसिपेट करते हैं। जो घटना हमारे सामने आई, निश्चित रूप में दोषियों को उसमें दंड दिया जाएगा, लेकिन मैं विद्यार्थियों को मुख्यतः और अभिभावकों को आश्वस्त करना चाहूंगा।
Now, the NEET UG 2024 controversy has majorly been over three aspects: paper leaks, grace marks and examination center manipulation. On 1st of June, a petition was filed against paper leaks as several cases had been reported from across the country. On 11 June, the Supreme Court in their orders demanded a reply from the NTA over why the sanctity of these examinations were violated. The hearing of the second plea that was filed after the results were declared on 4th of June and which took place today. Now, my whole question is that there you have Tamil Nadu, right, which for eons has now been saying, say no to NEET. And on the other hand, the mess that is unfolding on your screens. Let's talk to two very important guests and see what they say about NEET. Salem Dharnidharan, spokesperson for the DMK, and Banu Chandar Nagarajan, who is a very well-known political analyst. Salem Dharnidharan, to you first. Vanakkam. Do you feel vindicated somewhere when you see the kind of chaos which has unfolded across the country because of NEET? Because, you know, you have several points. Of course, there is A.K. Rajan committee, which of course certain points are read out. I've done a lot of stories on NEET. But what is your first thought today, Dharnidharan?
No, I think it's not about vindication. I think it's about feeling sad for the student. I think this also showcases one more thing which DMK has been standing for, which is federalism. So one of the strongest reasons why we are saying federalism is necessary is because India is so big a country that one government sitting in Delhi cannot have policies or implement projects across the country. It's practically impossible. And some of the mistakes in NEET are absolutely horrendous. Nowhere in the world or nowhere, even in India earlier, such mistakes have happened. And the simple reason is the government does not have capacity to run exams for 20 lakh students. We have a IIT JEE.
NTA runs other exams as well. It's not that they haven't done.
No, IIT JEE, if you look, or even for example, IAS exams, UPSC exams, they are written by niche people. IIT JEE is written only by 3 lakh people, I mean, during my time at least 10 years back. Or even civil service not written by much number of people as medical exams. So, see, in India also we have so many boards. You just don't have one board. We have more than like 3 dozen board exams.
So, what's your point? So you're saying they are inefficient, but I'm asking you that if you have... Sorry, Dharnidharan, if you had a very efficient organization or a conglomerate running the NEET exams, you're okay with NEET?
No, we are not okay. That's what I'm saying. This first problem is it's impossible. So that's why we are proposing federalism, not just for NEET. For any policy, you can't have one place deciding on it and another place implementing on it. Point number one. Point number two, look at this lack of common sense on the part of NTA. Some students have got 719, 718, 717 marks. But in NEET, 180 questions, 4 marks per question, 1 minus mark. So if a student has not got one question correct, either you can get 716 or 715. That's a mark possible because if you answered it wrongly, you'll get 715. If you're not chose to answer one question, you'll get 716. Some students have gotten 719, 718. How is it possible? Okay, given grace mark, agreed. But if they're given grace marks, then those students should have at least got 708. That they were given 10 marks grace, or 704. They have given 12 marks grace. But even then, student who scored just not got one question right is penalized and ranked before, then students would not get several questions
All right, let me get in, Banu Chandar. I mean, you're talking about several anomalies here. Of course, the entire nation is out there. Look at the students. They are fed up. I mean, there are so many. Banu Chandar Nagarajan, what a royal mess this is. Let me tell you, grace marks giving. Now 1563 mark sheet, there will be a retest. Also, there is cheating. All over, the videos have been circulated, people have been arrested. Why declare the results 10 days before? On 4th of June, you declared the result. Look at, I mean, I can go on and on and on about this. What a bad idea this is, Banu Chandar Nagarajan.
So I think we are conflating way too many aspects, Sudha. Like, obviously, the efficiency of conducting a test is one thing, and federalism and other stuff that Mr. Dharnidharan was speaking is a totally different thing. Okay? First of all, there are organizations that conduct examinations for crores of people. Take GMAT, GRE, TOEFL, and these are conducted across countries when crores and crores of people try. Okay? And in fact, to streamline this conducting of examinations, the HRD ministry started NTA, the National Testing Agency, whose specific job was to get the score correct. Okay, and I think previously, like the ministry was doing it by itself, and it was an inefficient operation. Now we have the NTA, right? And obviously, this error should not have occurred. And like what Mr. Pradhan was saying, the Education Minister, 24 lakh kids actually take this exam, and even 1,500 people are affected. And 1,500 people is too many. It should not be affected because we have all been students and we know the anxiety of writing tests. But nevertheless, it has happened, and I think corrective measures are taken, right? So now they are saying
Balachander,
that,
I don't think that we can take it so lightly. Of course, you are very good because you're not creating panic. You're saying, but it's a very major issue. All those students, some of them have come here, they have cried their hearts out.
Absolutely.
They do not know what to do. They're saying, one has to keep telling them that examination is only a part of your life, it's not your life. Can you imagine how many, and when you speak about federalism, sure, I will not go into Dravidian politics about NEET, but I think Tamil Nadu was right. I feel vindicated today. You may not, no, but the point is it's a bad idea maybe. One has to see why, because it creates an unequal level playing field as well. Otherwise those kids would not be crying today. Taking a break, coming back and then taking this NEET conversation further.
Helps beat sensitivity fast. Sensodyne Rapid Relief.
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार विमल बोलो जुबान केसरी
20,000 people dead and counting. What's happening in the United States of America is unprecedented. You will have to pay for this.
The confidence is certainly back in the market.
Do tighten your seat belt so that you can withstand volatility.
I have one humble request to all the viewers of News9 is that please don't go, there will be a lot of choppiness, there will be a lot of volatility. Look at long term, don't look at short term. Buy quality, don't buy quantity, and wish you all the very best.
हमारा टाइम आ गया है और रहेगा.
This and more. Streaming on News9 plus news is now content. Subscribe and get free vouchers.
I always feel the first hurdle is the biggest hurdle.
The process is the fruit and it's amazing.
When is the question, whether or not is not the question.
If that were the case, man would have never reached the moon.
World premiere on the 15th of June, only on News9 Live.
Helps beat sensitivity fast. Sensodyne Rapid Relief.
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार विमल बोलो जुबान केसरी.
We're talking about NEET and also talking about how Tamil Nadu was one of the first states to say no to NEET. I don't hold a brief for any political party. I'm only and only with the students. Selam Dharnidharan, in all this, all the reasons that you cited, What do you think is the most glaring thing? Forget for a moment that you belong to a party, but as someone who's educated, who maybe lived abroad, tell me that one anomaly which really stands out and makes this entire thing a very futile exercise, as it were.
No, actually, so I wanted to divide it into three parts. First is the reason it's anti-merit, and second is the lack of capacity to run the exams, and third is federalism. But since I spoke about anti-merit earlier, I didn't choose to speak that. But now I'll state the fact why competitive exams anti-teaching to the concept of merit. Most important, if you look across the world now, entrance exams are being eliminated for the simple reason that they showcase that this is anti-poor. Even in the US, the chances of a student getting into an Ivy League, even in the US, is 1,000 times higher if the parents are the 1% income group rather than in the bottom 20% of the income group. That lies in the discrepancy in the test scores. That's point number one. Point number two, this we can see in India itself. For example, in this NEET exam, 71 students have scored the full marks and 90% of them went to coaching classes and 10 of them went to same coaching classes. Another glaring example is NIT Tiruchi. Right? Before it became NIT Tiruchi, it was REC Tiruchi until 2002. So when it was REC Tiruchi until 2002, admission was through school marks. After 2002, admission was through AIEEE. Now JEE. Back then it was AIEEE. But immediately after AIEEE was introduced, number of students getting through Tamil Nadu quota in NIT Tiruchi, 80% became from Chennai. From select schools. Before it was only 20% from Chennai, 80% of the rest of Tamil Nadu. So the rest of Tamil Nadu reduced for simple reason that there are no coaching centers across Tamil Nadu. Now you may have some, but even now in cities and urban pockets there are coaching centers and there is know-how. And when I investigated further, I realized that in Chennai there are several coaching centers well known back then in early 2000s or until now. So people from these schools knew that they have to go for coaching from class 9 and they were able to do it, and people from other parts of Tamil Nadu did not do it. So does it mean that students from other parts of Tamil Nadu became dumber after introduction of AIEEE, that's why they're not able to get it? No, because they did not have the infrastructure, they did not have the money.
Exactly, and I'm going to focus, I wanted to focus on some people call it the mafia, but I've also sent my children to some coaching classes and they can extract lakhs and lakhs from you. I'm not blaming them, that's their business. But in all this non-level playing field of NEET, there is also a concept, Bhanu Chandar, of how these coaching classes are unaffordable for a lot of students. So imagine today the plight of a student who's standing there in Jantar Mantar or in Savai Madhopur in Rajasthan, who went for a coaching class, who got 90% in class 12, always knew he always wanted to be a doctor, and today sits there and says, I don't know why, but I answered everything, but they're saying your results can't be declared because your OMR was torn, and also the rank I have got is like 30,502. Where is the logic here? I just don't understand.
See, the whole coaching class system is a menace, Sudha, and I am with you, and it is there for everything, like including IAS examination, civil services examination, where kids study for 7 years, 8 years, etc. Right? It is something that is separate from what we are discussing right now. Okay, first of all, no other state has asked for a ban of NEET other than Tamil Nadu. Repeated. Okay, number one. Number two, if you look at the 2023 results, first ranked person is a Tamil guy. Number 2 is a Tamil guy. Number 6 is a Tamil guy. Number 9 is a Tamil guy. Okay, of the top 10, four are Tamilians. Okay, so there has been no discrimination against Tamil Nadu whatsoever. In fact, a couple of years, the topper was a girl from a rural area in Tamil Nadu. Okay, so this whole merit business is valid only partially. It's not a blanket statement. Okay, number one. Number two is what happened with NEET was it called for an increase in standard of school education, which Tamil Nadu has not done. Okay, so let's be very frank about it. Many other
Bhanu Chandar, you say 4 students were Tamil, then you say the school standard is not good. I just don't understand this dichotomy that you're speaking about. First of all, those 4 Tamil students, how do you know that they studied in Tamil medium in Tamil Nadu, or they were like me, studied elsewhere? And I don't know. Even if I stick to your argument, Bhanu Chandar, if the school standard was not so high, how did that student crack NEET?
So that is I mean, Mr. Dharanidharan was saying that like so many Tamil kids were there in REC, now it is not there, etc. Right? So obviously there will be meritorious kids who will rise up. So what I'm trying to say is there is no discrimination against Tamil Nadu. No other state is asking for a ban on NEET except for Tamil Nadu. They're making it an issue because of their whole idea of federalism, etc. And let me remind your viewers that the NEET was brought into play during the UPA era, and who was the Minister of State of Education there? Mr. Gandhi Selvan. Which party is he from? DMK. Okay, so I think this whole logic is bogus, and DMK should stop making it a political issue and playing with the lives of kids, saying that there's going to be a ban on NEET, etc., etc. It's not going to happen. Obviously, we keep improving what we have. The incident that happened today should not have happened. Okay, for example, my time, the IIT JEE paper was leaked. Okay, and I suffered, so I pretty much empathize with what the kids are going through. But we should, for example, you get a nice car and there's a scratch. Okay, you don't send the car to a junkyard, right? Assuming it's a big leak from an ambassador. You actually think
from a child, Banu Chandar, car is different from a child. There is a big difference there.
An analogy.
No, that analogy does not work. It's about dreams of a human being, Banu Chandar. Because, I do not know. I'm not going to sit on judgment that those only have children will understand this. A lot of us don't have children, but they can understand. But to just compare it with, some of the students really have suffered so much. If the system is wrong, you better correct it. That's the whole point. Don't make students suffer. Whether there are Tamil or Telugu or Kannada or Malayalis. Dharanidharan, there is one, I have to end this part, Dharanidharan, I want to ask you one thing. There is an accusation against you, that is the Dravida Munnetra Kazhagam, that because many of your leaders own private medical colleges, you want NEET to be banned.
I think it's an hilarious argument. I think that the previous gentleman who spoke was, I think, on the surface did not go underneath. For example, when Gandhi Selvan was health minister, it's absolutely false that NEET came into play. NEET bill was passed in 2017, point number one. Even then, the NEET bill that was discussed during the UPA, there was a clear clause that it was a right of the state. So any state which wanted to choose NEET for admission to their state government medical colleges can choose NEET. Point number one. Point number two, I never said less number of Tamil Nadu students started going to NIT Trichy. The quota was same. Every NIT, 50% of the seats were reserved for home state, right? So what I was saying was, the composition of Tamil Nadu students changed towards urban after introduction of entrance exams.
Right.
So that is very important point. And what was your question, Sudha? I'll answer that too.
No,
Oh, no, coaching.
Quickly, I have just 1 minute left.
Just 1 minute. See, I think basic economics, right? About 1 lakh people write NEET. 60% get qualified, that is 60,000. And there are about 2,500 government college seats, and private colleges give about 3,200 seats to government. So basically, there are only 3,000 seats for which people who don't qualify entrance exam, about 90,000 people qualify. Now, 60,000 students are aiming for the 3,000 seats. So demand is basically, previously was 1:30. Now the demand has reduced to 1:20, but anyone who knows basic economics knows that when demand is more than 10, the price rise, if at all you're talking about the capitation fees won't reduce. So if at all they want to increase quality, right, they should do exit NEET.
Right.
Or the NEET should only choose 20%.
Yeah, I've completely run out of time, but there is one thing. Government medical colleges are very cheap in comparison to private. So this whole poor-rich thing, it gets somewhere, there the student and the parents have to pay loads of money to see that the student does MBBS. And so far as rural-urban is concerned, and I'm only speaking in the context of Tamil Nadu, we had a great man called Dr. Kalam. He studied in a village school. I rest my case. Thank you very much, Selam Dharanidharan, for that argument, and also Banu Chandar, as always, absolutely brilliant. Thank you very much. And the next story that we are talking about is a tragedy. 42 Indians, including 19 from Kerala and 5 from Tamil Nadu, die in a fire at a residential building in Kuwait. Was it an accident in the making? We shall find out. That's the story. 42 Indians charred in Kuwait, said to be the worst in the history of Kuwait. In the early hours of 12 June, around 42 Indians, including at least 19 from Kerala and 5 from Tamil Nadu, were killed, and over 50 others were grievously injured in a terrible fire that engulfed a building which housed around 195 migrant workers in southern Kuwait's Mangaf area. Apart from Indians, the others included Pakistanis, Filipinos, Egyptians as well as Nepalis. The NBTC group, which owns the building at Mangaf in Kuwait that caught fire on Wednesday, killing at least 49 people, the majority whom were Indians, has expressed shock. They said that they shall do whatever it takes to see that they provide help to the families. They said we are in touch with the families of those who lost their lives and we're working relentlessly to make all the arrangements so that there is absolutely no problem for all the people who have died. Such is the horrifying condition of the bodies that Kuwaiti authorities shall now conduct DNA tests to identify the remains of the individuals killed in a devastating fire that ravaged a residential building in Mangaf. Of the deceased, over 40 were said to be Indians, and according to officials, there were several, like I said earlier, from Tamil Nadu and Kerala. An IF aircraft is on standby to bring back the mortal remains to India. Prompted by the tragedy, Kerala Health Minister Veena George has left for Kuwait along with a bureaucrat to oversee relief efforts for the affected families. Veena George shall also help coordinate the treatment of the injured and to bring back bodies. The government of Kerala has offered financial assistance of 5 lakh rupees for the families of the deceased and 1 lakh for those who have been injured. Earlier, Prime Minister Modi shared his condolence message to the families of those affected and announced 2 lakh ex gratia for the family of the deceased. Now, Minister of State for External Affairs Kirti Vardhan Singh, who's also in Kuwait right now, spoke of the situation there. Listen in.
See, we had a meeting last night with the Honorable Prime Minister, and that's the last update we have about this very sad tragedy. And the rest of the situation will be cleared the moment we reach there. See, the situation is that the victims are mostly burn victims, and some of the bodies have been charred beyond recognition. So a DNA test is underway to identify the victims, and the Air Force plane is on the ready, and as soon as the bodies are identified, their kin will be informed, and our Air Force plane will bring the bodies back. The latest figures that we had last night, the casualty figures are around 48, 49, out of which 42 or 43 are believed to be our countrymen Indians.
Indians constitute 21%, that's 1 million of the total population of Kuwait and 30% of its workforce, approximately 9 lakh people. Reacting to the urgency of the situation, the Kerala government, I beg your pardon, the Kerala government problems of what happens of technology, I beg your pardon, my apologies. The Kerala government convened an emergency meeting to discuss the strategies for repatriation and coordinate relief efforts. Pinarayi Vijayan, the Chief Minister, is focusing on immediate needs of those affected by this tragic incident. Let's listen in to the family member of one of the victims who lost their loved ones in the tragic fire accident.
സമീർ ഇവിടുന്ന് 5 കൊല്ലം ആയി ഇവിടുന്ന് പോയിട്ട് പത്തനംതിട്ടയുള്ള ഒരു 3 പേര് നടത്തുന്ന ഒരു കമ്പനിയാണിത് കുവൈറ്റിൽ. ഇവിടുന്ന് അങ്ങനെ വിസ എടുത്ത് പോയതാണ്. പോയിട്ട് 2 കൊല്ലം കഴിഞ്ഞ് വന്നു. പിന്നെ 2 കൊല്ലം വീണ്ടും പോയിട്ട് ഇപ്പോൾ 2 കൊല്ലം കഴിഞ്ഞ് വന്ന് കല്യാണം കഴിച്ചു. പോയിട്ട് 2 കൊല്ലം കഴിഞ്ഞ് ഇപ്പോൾ വന്നിട്ട് പോയിട്ട് 8 മാസമായി. അവിടുത്തെ ഡ്രൈവറാണ്, കമ്പനിയുടെ വലിയ വണ്ടി ഓടിക്കുന്ന ഡ്രൈവറാണ്.
Now, Deputy Prime Minister of Kuwait Sheikh Fahad Al Yusuf Al Sabah visited the site and ordered the arrest of the building's owner. He said, unfortunately, the greed of real estate owners is what leads to these matters.
Unfortunately, the greed of the property owners is what leads to these matters. I will call the Director of Municipalities and we will talk to all property owners. Any property violation will be removed early morning. Either the property owner removes it himself or I will give instructions to the municipality to remove them. This is the decision that should have been imposed a long time ago and be implemented in the municipality. But unfortunately, there was neglect from the part of the real estate dealers. They violate, and this is the result of the violations. As we speak, there are 41 people killed, and the reason is the real estate dealers, unfortunately.
I know what you're thinking. Was this an accident waiting to happen? Let's find out. Sanjoy Bhattacharya, former Secretary Overseas Affairs MEA, has joined us. We are also being joined by another guest. We shall wait. Mr. Bhattacharya, thank you so much. What a tragic incident indeed. Today I've been reading, and you know, they say that in Kuwait there have been many lives which have been lost in this fashion. What is this? To kind of, you know, pack Indians like sardines in little rooms, stamp-sized rooms. Somewhere we have to do something to see that their situation improves. Would you agree, Sanjoy?
Well, firstly, I think I would join with the others in expressing my deepest condolences to the families and friends of those who've lost their lives. This has been truly a tragic incident. We must understand that there are a very large number of Indians who go to the Gulf region for work, and their earnings and income over there provide the remittances for their families back in India. So this is the kind of background in which this kind of a development has taken place. We found that in many of the Gulf countries, the majority of the workers are actually of Indian origin, and therefore it is very necessary to have deep coordination with the local authorities, the Kuwaiti authorities in this case, so that we can provide for safe and legal migration, so that they can work in ideal conditions and that they're looked after properly, that their employers are good, their working conditions are fair, and that they can live in safe neighborhoods.
Sanjoy, if I can just interject, you know, I have a report in which it said that you know, the Indian embassy in Kuwait received over 16,000 complaints from the country's citizens working there between 2021 March and December 2023, mostly about delays in salaries, no salaries, inhuman condition, substandard accommodation, etc., etc., etc. So what can be worse than 16,000 complaints, Sanjoy?
Which is why we need to work on what we call safe and legal migration that I referred to. When people go, they go on a certain contract, which is kind of approved by the two sides. Unfortunately, when they reach the destination, many of them find that the contract that they had allegedly been provided is not the one that is going to be implemented, because there is a first excess of people who are in this network who provide for illegal movement of people. The second is that there is actually a problem of the working conditions that I was also referring to. In fact, as you know, in Kuwait, we run shelter homes for many of these workers, including for women who do not find the ideal working conditions and often have to run away. Our labor office in the Kuwait embassy, in our embassy in Kuwait, is one of the key things that they have to work for is to ensure a certain correspondence and dialogue with employers so that the rights are maintained. This is an ongoing process.
Yeah, which sounds wonderful, Sanjoy, but you know, before I jump the gun, we don't usually, unless we get to the bottom of it. Do you think this is criminal negligence? It seems like the fire spread from the kitchen of the apartment, one of the kitchens. I don't want to really go and pinpoint the reason and cherry pick, but do you think that it seems like gross negligence on the part of the building owners, where people were living in small, little stamp-sized rooms? And the most unfortunate part is, imagine it is early dawn, so a lot of people were apparently asleep, didn't even realize before the hullabaloo started.
Well, I don't think we should jump to conclusions before the investigations are concluded, but you did hear what the Kuwaiti minister was referring to, and I think what he was referring to about the problem of housing is indeed a serious issue. We often come across instances where people live in hostel-like conditions, where they sometimes share beds on different shifts. So these are things that, you know, as they come to light, there are remedial measures that need to be taken. But what I was referring to is that we need systemic responses rather than responding to a certain situation or an unfortunate tragedy like the one that has happened. We've had very good dialogue with some of the Gulf countries, and we've started the dialogue with the Kuwaitis as well, so that and I keep repeating this, and I think it is important to understand that safe and legal migration, which is something that both countries actually subscribe to in the migration charter that we are both adherence to, is something that we really need to implement on the ground. In
Right.
other words, the contracts that are given needs to be verified on both sides.
All right. And on that note, you know, Sanjay Bhattacharya, what you say sounds very, very sound, and sounds like at least we have a safety net against such disasters and devastating fires and mishaps in the future. But unfortunately, all of us, and I include myself in it, we always talk about this in hindsight. I wish we had foresight when it comes to this. So many lives have been lost. My pleasure. You were on the show. I've completely run out of time. Sanjay Bhattacharya, thank you so much for joining us on this broadcast. And as promised, I'll leave you with some of the other top headlines from the south of India. Vanakkam.